on, if you fire away on those.
Okay.
Yeah, it's live, it's good to know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Microphone is live, so you just stop.
So welcome to Ollie Campbell Park for round one of the Energia Community Series. It is Old Belvedere at home taking on Trinity. Both teams are in Leinster Conference 1. Old Belvedere's first game since Highfield about 7 months ago, while Trinity have got 2 impressive wins in their Leinster Senior Cup on their way to the final. And with me in the commentary box today is an experienced outside back and player coach, Simon Killeen.
Thanks very much, Justin. Wouldn't be sure about experience, more so than age, as opposed to or actually rugby experience. Great to be here with you.
So very interesting, given the context of the beginning of the season, and that Old Belvedere haven't played much rugby. They haven't played an official game yet. Trinity have been on fire in the Leinster Senior Cup, winning their quarter-final against Blackrock, 43 points to 26, and then also beating UCD, their colour match rivals. Old Belvedere, they have a lot of experience, but they haven't played so much rugby. Is it an advantage for Trinity?
Yeah, I think so. I think it goes without saying, as you put it there, Trinity have started the season really well. They've got 2 really competitive games under their belts. A big win against UCD last week. You see it across the board, teams coming fresh into the season. It could easily take Old Belvedere that little bit extra longer to get the shoulders running and to get competitive on the pitch. You would think that Trinity would have the advantage, but then again, Old Belvedere have been training extremely hard for the last few weeks, so it'd be tough to know until we kind of see the first 10-15 minutes, but I would initially think that Trinity should be coming in all guns blazing.
And with the All-Ireland League only starting in January, what do you think the focus will be for both sides between September and December? Do you think both sides are going to try to top the conference, or more work on momentum?
But I think the funny thing is, the last few months has been really tough for all players, obviously, competitively. That's what we've been missing. You've been able to do your training together in the last few weeks. Players are just really happy to be out there actually competing against other teams. They've been kind of hitting each other on the paddock for the last few weeks, as I said. But I think for the next few months in mind, speaking to other teams and other players, everyone's really seeing it as a chance to kind of build and grow for January. It's a weird season, obviously, that's not going to be a competitive league in terms of promotions and relegations this year, but everyone will be looking to build continuously and hoping to have a really good second half of the season, providing obviously everything goes to plan.
And then also, sadly enough, you had Conor Wendy, new club captain, injured. He'll be injured for most of the season. But also on Trinity's side, Max Carney, their new captain, both captains gone.
Yeah, disappointing for both captains, I think. Obviously, it's a huge honour for whatever club that you represent. For Conor, obviously, a great friend, a great teammate of mine. We're obviously very disappointed for him, but Conor's a very focused guy. He's going to come back into it. He knows what he's got to do. He's focusing on his recovery. We're very lucky that we have a lot of leaders out there from an Old Belvedere perspective who would naturally fill that hole. So Conor, I suppose, has got a great network around him to help do the leadership roles. Trinity will be the exact same, I'm sure. Max, it'll be very easy in terms of he's a great player. I'm sure he's got has a great impact himself. But there's a lot of leaders in that team as well who'll be able to help out on the pitch on the day.
And if we just look at the sides here, Simon, Old Belvedere, you can take us through that team.
Yeah, I think so. If we're going to start in the front row, we've got James Bollard, who's now taking over the captain duties for Conor Wendy on the pitch for the foreseeable future. Himself, Joe Horn and Ryan McMahon in the front row. Experienced front row from last year. Colin Dole come in for his debut with the very experienced Dean Moore. In the back row, Ethan Baxter at 6, with Evan Gordon making his debut at 7. And Tom Ryan, following his switch, an ex-Trinity boy as well, his switch over from Clontarf to Old Belvedere makes his debut at 8. And then in the back line, Conrad Daly makes his first competitive debut for the senior team as well at 9. Tommy Whittle fills in at 10. The centre partnership of David Butler and Jamie McAleese comes back in for the new season, with the back row of James McKeown and Jack Keating on the wings, supported by Justin Leonard at fullback.
Dublin University, Bart Vermeulen is loose head prop, Benjamin Knoll, the South African, is the hooker. Thomas Connolly is the tight end prop. The locks are Jamie Beresford and Harry Sheridan, making his debut. Ruben Pym is the number 6. Ruan Byron is the number 8. Aaron Coleman is the flank. He's in for Max Carney. The number 9 is Louis O'Reilly. 10, Harry Colbert. The centres are Gavin Jones and current under 20, Luis Faria. The wing is Ronan Quinn. The other wing is Ethan Green. And at the back is Rob Russell, who has scored 41 points in his first 2 games. We're almost set to go. Andrew Cole will be looking after the game today. He's on the national panel of referees. And Harry Colbert will be getting us underway for Dublin University. Also his debut season. And we're underway at Ollie Campbell Park in Ballsbridge, Dublin. And Trinity have the ball. And here's Coleman now, the open side flanker. Scored a try last week against UCT. Colbert, things that awaited Jones. Here's Faria, a lot of space to work with. He's a pirouetting centre. And this will be gold for Trinity. With that early error by Old Belvedere, can Trinity cash in? It's O'Reilly. Pops it there to Sheridan. O'Reilly once more. And Beresford now. O'Reilly works the short side and Byron, the number 8. And it's a penalty to Old Belvedere.
That's a great recovery from Old Belvedere. You know, first few seconds there, you're looking at it and you're thinking, that's exactly what we were talking about. Will Belvo be rusty coming into the game? A couple of errors there, both from the kick-off and then a couple of sloppy missed tackles, but Belvo have done very well to turn that back over and rescue the situation for themselves. Tommy Whittle finding a good touch there.
Perhaps some early season cobwebs there for Old Belvedere. Not out of the woods as such, but they have an opportunity now to get some territory. And it'll be Joe Horan, the ex-Trinity player, to feed for Old Belvedere. And he's found Doyle, Daly to Whittle. That's a massive carry in centre field there by Tom Ryan, another ex-Trinity player. Daly is digging. Daly things it away. Under pressure here are Old Belvedere. And they go back to the kid, Justin Leonard. It's not a bad kick, but he's found Trinity's sensation, Robert Russell. And he's not scared to have a crack, almost breaking the line. Good ball there from Beresford. And they have the penalty. So will they tap and go? It's a feature of their game, but not this time.
That's something you'll always have to be worried about, Trinity. You know, you can see it the last few years. Every team who plays them is aware. Their penalty mentality is typically tip and go. It's something which, you know, as a defending team puts you in the back foot immediately, because whatever about the play, it puts you in terms of in a mindset perspective. It means you always have to be aware of them and switched on, and I suppose gives them even a mental advantage as well.
So Ben Knoll will feed. Played first team for Bishops, a school in South Africa. In 2017 was their loosehead prop. And that's a good take by Pym. And Gav Jones, the inside centre. Very good defence there by Whittle. O'Reilly to Colbert. And that is an impressive carry by Sheridan, the freshman from Ulster. O'Reilly, Faria, and Robert Russell, the fullback. O'Reilly, it's the second time they've been in Old Belvedere's 22. Can they make it count? Good play there by Benjamin Knoll. And Colbert with the show and go. O'Reilly and Faria once more. O'Reilly works the short side to Coleman. Beautiful pop there to Sheridan. O'Reilly on the blind side going for the intercept. And welcome back, Ronan Quinn. It is a try for the electric left winger. What a start for Trinity.
Yeah, you can see that happening there for the last couple of minutes. Trinity just really fluid with the ball in hand. It's really impressive from an attacking perspective. We talk about that match experience in terms of Trinity having the 2-game advantage over the overall Belvedere. You can see that coming through defensively. Belvedere for the first couple of phases competing, but then once they're asked to move around the place, just struggling probably to adjust at the same pace as Trinity are getting the ball around the paddock.
So Rob Russell, he doesn't miss often. Their prolific point scorer. And he has a chance to make it 7-0 after about 5 minutes here at Ollie Campbell Park. So Rob Russell. Taking his time. That one's drifted. Not his best kick.
Just wide. The next couple of minutes we'll see for this kick-off. This will be huge for Belvedere. Games against Trinity, games against top clubs in Ireland, in terms of trying to adapt to the pace, you don't have long to try and get yourself back in shape, so Belvedere really need a strong response here now. Try and keep Trinity pinned into their own half and try and come away with a score.
Tommy Whittle with the restart. Taken ball there by Pim. O'Reilly to Colbert. Good play there by Beresford, and there's a lot of space on the left. Good pass from Faria to Robert Russell. Trying to get the inside ball there, and it's play on. It was picked up by Daly, and then it was charged down. And it's panic stations here for Old Belvedere, taken by O'Reilly. Flings it away there to Coleman, to Gavin Jones, who's been instrumental in these early proceedings. And they're back into the 22 for the third time already in about 6 or 7 minutes here. O'Reilly and Benjamin Knoll with the dummy. Gets the offload away there to Byron. Faria, not his best pass. Almost being hacked ahead there by McAleese and Colbert with some fancy footwork. And Quinn, the try scorer. Old Belvedere struggling to breathe, but that is tremendous defence there by Jack Keating.
That's better from Old Belvedere. You see defensively, shape probably still isn't at the same pace that they want coming around the ruck, but the hits are coming in. Ethan Baxter made a brilliant recovery tackle there to stop Trinity coming into the 22. Ryan McMahon even with a couple of hits, and then you see the strength of the wing with Jack Keating as well. That's better from Old Belvedere, but they need to collectively start doing that now, the units as opposed to individuals just making the big hits.
So Joe Horan just getting instruction there from his captain, James Pollard. Dino Moore, the Wiseman with the take. And Daly, as patient as ever. Super carry there. Daly back into the 22 for Whittle. Also an ex-Trinity player. It's Ronan Quinn. Robert Russell. His eyes really light up. Always has a sense of an opportunity, and it's a penalty to Old Belvedere. Good defence.
Great defence by Old Belvedere. Great opportunity now again to pump down into the Trinity half. Russell seriously has some great footwork, doesn't he? He kind of always looks like he wants to have a go, no matter where he is in the pitch. He's a real threat for Trinity.
An interesting matchup between Robert Russell and the kid.
Justin Leonard, yeah. Interesting to see Justy now at 15. Last year would have got a lot of experience at 10, would probably fancy himself as a bit more of a natural 10, but this is a real opportunity for him to kind of show how versatile he can be in that back line, because he's even proved himself as a bit of a centre before, so when it comes to getting first team experience and getting into that team, he could be giving himself a real shot here now for the season ahead.
Joe Horan. Well, he's got some history in that he won the Leinster School Senior Cup with Blackrock. He was their captain. Ethan Baxter couldn't gather, so Callum Doyle, the newbie, has to, and Whittle things it out there to Tom Ryan, ex-Trinity captain. Leonard pops it there to Ethan Baxter, dangerous player, and Horan, did that go forward? Unfortunately, it did there, and that did look promising.
What a shame. Ethan Baxter, like to see your 6'8" to do that, a guy who would have been seen as a hooker as well for many years. Really impressed to see him take that kind of inside line. The offload nearly golden as well. Positive play from Belvedere now with the ball in hand. Conrad Daly, I have to say as well, from a guy who's got relatively limited experience when it comes to first team experience, seems to be controlling the game quite well for Belvedere as things stand.
So Trinity, can their scrum step up against this experienced front row of old Belvedere? They get the scrum right. Colbert things it away there to Jones. Beautiful ball to Robert Russell. Here's Quinn once more. He is electric. The chip and chase for Russell, but it's gathered there by Daly, who does the rescue work. And David Butler, well, he'll really be pumped because he's missed about 18 months of rugby. He came back against Highfield 7 months ago and then got incorrectly red carded. Not great luck on his part. And here go Trinity now, but it's gone forward. Old Belvedere, an opportunity for them to build some sort of platform and try get the next score. But they need to try get into Trinity's half.
Absolutely. That was a great recovery again from Conrad Daly, following the ball across the pitch to come and carry that. It's a long distance for him to get to. Looks like he was tackled by some player, Jack teasing briefly, but they've done well out Belvedere there now. Again, opportunity, just got to keep out of their half and keep that game down in Trinity's side.
Conrad Daly with the feed. Old Belvedere under massive pressure. Tommy Whittle with a delayed ball there to Butler over the advantage line. And it's a penalty, so free play here. And a courageous run there by Callum Doyle. And some good front foot ball. The kid decides to chip and go, but we'll come back for the penalty.
That's absolutely fine for Belvedere. They'll take those all day in their half. It gives them an opportunity to get out. Good running by David Butler, himself and Jamie McAleese together. Two very direct runners, two very strong guys. They'll be hoping now the old Belvedere backline that they can punch in, kind of use them for a few cannon runs throughout the day. Tom Whittle with it. Good kick, just gets out.
Sure, the club captain Conor Wendy there will be pleased with that.
Great flag holding skills there from himself. Line-out coach for the day, I believe. He'll probably be whispering in Joe Horan's ear a few moves.
And although he is injured, his impact is definitely felt by old Belvedere. Always down at the practices.
Absolutely. Captaincy is so much more than what you see on the pitch. You know, it's behind the scenes, and Connor's the perfect guy for that. He's got a great leadership team behind him as well. So he'll be missed obviously on the pitch, but in terms of his actual presence, it'll be constantly felt.
So it looked promising from old Belvedere. They gave away a penalty, and Harry Colbert has the chance to put old Belvedere back under pressure. It's a good clearance. Trinity College's loose head prop Bart Vermeulen played for the Belgium under 18 side. It's been hacked ahead, slippery there. And old Belvedere will definitely take that bounce of the ball. Driven back in the tackle is Ryan and Whittle. Robert Russell gathers and he has a go. Finds Quinn with a chip and chase. He looks very dangerous. the left winger.
That was a good play by Russell again, taking the two men in on that. I think Trinity now, are looking very relaxed when it comes to the ball being in their half and defensively. But to be fair, it's probably because Belvedere at this stage aren't testing them enough. Belvedere, we still need to see what Trinity are going to be like defensively moving around the place. Belvedere just need to start being a little bit more patient with the ball in the hand, go through the phases, and just focus on those little mistakes now which are coming in and creeping in between knock-ons and such.
So we have a reset. Just going back to Bart Vermeulen. As part of some Leinster training earlier in the year as well. He actually used to be an 8th man, and then Tony Smith, the director of rugby at Trinity, converted him to a prop, and it's been quite the story. It's a penalty to Trinity.
Yeah, the last couple of scrums now, you're starting to see a bit of an advantage creeping into Trinity. A little bit more so on James Bollard's side. He'll be frustrated by that. Give Trinity a serious advantage now as they look to pump into the corner.
So Ben Knoll will look to get a good feed here. Getting instruction from Bart Vermeulen. And Beresford gathers. And the maul looks impressive. Look at the speed of this rolling maul. Benjamin Knoll is at the back. He's looking for his first try. He got denied last week. Benjamin Knoll, and he's been denied again.
Wow. You look at games there with fine margins, just, would have come down to something like that. Trinity, everything about that maul was great. The line out was quick, the catch was great. Belvedere caught off guard. They weren't expecting the maul to hit that quickly and that hard. You would have thought Trinity were going to go over there. They'll be hoping now to rescue themselves in the Belvedere half with another big scrum, but yeah, I think Belvedere got a little bit lucky there as that was going over the line.
And given that Trinity are 1A side and Old Belvedere are 1B side, do you think that's an added motivation for Old Belvedere?
I think so. I think for any of the teams across the Munster Leinster provinces who would be in the 1Bs and 2As, who, like ourselves the last couple of years, haven't been given the opportunity outside the Leinster League to play, some of the top and most competitive teams in the province. It's brilliant for us to go out there and have a pop and have the experience playing against them and be able to enjoy it, I suppose, without, any threat to league standings, etc.
David Butler with a good carry. He was tackled by Aaron Coleman. And here's Quinn again. He's touched the ball quite a lot in these early stages, and he looks like a slippery customer. He's come back after shoulder reconstruction. And it's messy ball here. But at the moment, Trinity are in control. And Old Belvedere just really need to try and get some territory and build a platform.
Some interesting acrobatics there for some of the Trinity players, alright. There's a call there for an offside. I'm not sure if the ref's gone with the scrum. Yeah, you talk about Ronan Quinn. He's touched a lot of ball today. He looks sharp. He's a low centre gravity kind of guy. He's very difficult to tackle, great pace around him, and he's not afraid to try and pick the holes. He's not just running into contact. He's testing the opposition, the guys in front of him. It's a very exciting player to watch.
A lot of history involved with these two clubs. Old Belvedere, established in 1918, and then Trinity, the oldest in continuous existence in the world. And Faria is trying to get the turnover there, and he does an impressive job, and it's a tap and go by O'Reilly. They love the tap and go to Trinity, and Faria again pops it there to Vermeulen, and now Connolly, the prop and prop in tandem. And Sheridan has also been impressive for his debut game. And Colbert fires it away there to Faria and to Gavin Jones, the inside centre. Really looking composed. And Faria once more, that must be 6th or 7th carry of the game. And they really like to play with the ball in hand.
Faria really impressive. He's all over the place, even from stealing the breakdown there a couple of moments ago. As you said, he must have caught and carried the ball several times there, and aggressively as well with great conviction. And that's what we're talking about, that quick tap and go. Trinity's been doing it for years. Teams consistently struggle with it. They're almost getting a penalty advantage for people not being back their yards most of the time. And if not that, it immediately instills a sense of panic in the ranks of the defence when there's so many people flooding through.
So Rob Russell has a chance to take the scores out to 8-0. The fullback. And at the moment you can definitely see that Trinity have played 2 games before this.
Yeah, the sharpness is definitely there. Now, Belvedere are coming into it a little bit more, but the problem is, I think right now, Belvedere are playing a lot of the game in their own half, around the halfway line. They just need to do the basics now, get it down into the Trinity half, and put Trinity under pressure. As we've seen in the Trinity half, Trinity are way too relaxed, and they'd like to be relaxed because, as it stands, Belvedere carrying well for a couple of phases, but then the simple mistakes are coming in.
Robert Russell, he raises the flags this time, no mistake from the fullback. It is Dublin University 8, Belvedere 0 after about 20 minutes. And a water break. So Old Belvedere also produced their fair share of internationals, around 17 Irish internationals and 32 Irish women internationals. Dublin University, well, they've had 160 players capped. They had 9 players in the first ever test match that Ireland played. And in recent times, Jamie Heaslip as well.
Brian Baird is probably one of the newest recruits that's about to really break through. I think he's a Trinity guy as well. Really impressive, obviously, for the Leinster stuff. But yeah, like you see that the guys that come out of the schools, particularly we've seen obviously in the last decade or so, the Leinster school system is just providing sheer amount of players, like super class. Trinity and UCD naturally get a lot of the students kind of come into them for those years. So yeah, they have plenty, I suppose, of people who right now and in the past and going forward in the future, lots of people will be representing the country and the provinces.
Your take, Simon, on the opening 20 minutes?
Yeah, I think as we expected, again, we've talked about it a couple of times, Trinity having those 2 games advantages over Belvedere. You saw it in the first 10 minutes, Belvedere were struggling to adjust, I think, defensively and offensively to match the tempo of the game. Let Trinity getting into that early try over the wings coming in. Belvedere have been showing promising signs around the park. Some big hits, we said, people are starting to raise their game in terms of with aggression and impact defensively. They're forcing a lot of turnovers, which is a real positive in their own half as well. But what we need to see more from Belvedere is definitely getting into that half for Trinity and playing some solid attacking rugby, finding their own tempo, not panicking if they're not going places, and really try and put Trinity under pressure, because at the moment Trinity are way too relaxed and they're happy to throw the ball around dangerously as they usually would in the opposition's half. But these 20-minute breaks are interesting when it comes to water as such. It gives the players that chance, which are working on Belvedere's favour, to come in, take a breath, have a chat amongst themselves, speak to the coaches, and now come out again and try and find their feet.
And also both these sides coached by 2 fantastic coaches in the form of Ray Monaghan and then also Tony Smith.
Yeah, but Tony needs no introduction when it comes to All-Ireland rugby. Obviously, he's been kind of an ever-presence for the league for I don't know how many years, a long time
He's
now.
been with Trinity for 22 years.
22 years, wow. Wow, 22 years. Ray Monaghan obviously would have taken over during the season last year after the departure of Andy Kenny and Ian Smith, and he's an old Belvedere guy through and through. Great experience, great club man.
Well, Robert Russell has given that ball a monster smack.
That's like serious pressure being relieved there for his own team. We're talking about trying to keep it in the Trinity half, and then Russell comes up with something like that. Very impressive.
So with that break, they've done anything for Old Belvedere. Trinity have really got them under pressure. And Colbert to Coleman and Jones to Faria, breaking the tackle of Butler. O'Reilly to Colbert. Very good ball there. And here's Connolly, the tight end prop. Working that short side. O'Reilly. And a crucial steal by Old Belvedere. And they seem to be hanging on. And one gets the feeling that Trinity perhaps should have some more points. And Old Belvedere are doing very well to hang on at the moment.
What about that from Tommy Whittle? Like, shooting out of the line looked a little bit risky, but he stood up to his man, matched his feet, and be able to turn the ball over like that. When you have a 10 who can do that, that's a brilliant asset to have. Again, now, can they keep it in the Trinity half and force some mistakes?
Skew throw there by Benjamin Knoll. And now there's a chance. For Old Belvedere.
Confusion there at the referee's hand signals. I was about to start screaming.
Andrew Cole, a business development executive, when he's away from the whistle, schooled at Wesley College, and was also at UCD. Under pressure again, that is a mammoth shove from Trinity, and it's play on Byron to O'Reilly and Gavin Jones with a skip ball there to Ethan Green, played for the Californian Bears. Colbert fires it away, beautiful ball there to Beresford, and now Byron, space on the left, beautiful pass there from Jones to Pim, and here's Quinn again, really having a good game. The winger, and they've got the free play. They work the short side once more. Decision time here.
It probably looked like Ruben Penn probably could have held the ball that little bit more and released Ronan Quinn into the corner. Jack Keating backtracked very smartly, I suppose, to try and force the pass. But look at that from Trinity College in terms of finding that hole in the middle of the park. Elbow again, struggling to find themselves defensively to get that right setup when the play change. But that scrum for me, what it set out as a very equal scrum for the first 10 minutes. Trinity are now starting to dominate, and as it goes, no scrum, no win. So Belvedere are going to have to try and sort that out. The trouble here now for Ethan Baxter, I think, unfortunately.
It's concerning there. Under 20s captain last year. But just going back to Trinity's scrum, they've always said in the past that they haven't really been so powerful in the scrum, but what we've seen today is pretty phenomenal from the university side.
Yeah, granted, for a team of young guys to see that size, it's really impressive. Belvedere, to be fair to them, are missing a bit of weight in the pack, I think, today from they would usually hope for, but the differences so far is so much in Trinity's favour. You can't really go against that. Ethan Baxter now seems to be pulling off the pitch for an assessment.
And McNulty is coming onto the field. The Irish Sevens international.
This would be really interesting for us to see as squad players, even Harry coming down, a guy with that kind of experience. You've spoken about the Irish Sevens. He's an ex-Trinity player himself, an ex-UCD player. He's versatile. He plays in the back row. He can play six. He would have played in the wing against us for years when he was in UCD. We're really excited to see Harry down. This is his first kind of competitive chance for us to show us what he's made of.
Ben Knoll with the throw. Beresford takes, and surely this time he's popped it to Bart Vermeulen, and it's gone wrong once more.
Yeah, Belvedere again. Be grateful for what you might say an unforced Trinity error that's 5 yards out from their line. But Belvedere need to start taking advantage of these mistakes. Trinity will be annoyed with themselves. They could be well ahead of Belvedere at the moment in terms of making themselves a little bit more comfortable going into half time. But if Belvedere don't start taking advantage of it now, you feel that Trinity will start converting those into points very soon.
Big pressure on the scrum here for Old Belvedere, and they get a penalty. And that must be a major relief for Ray Monaghan.
They needed that. That would relieve a huge amount of pressure. That's great play from James Belvedere and his side. A great recovery now for the last few phases.
Not much distance on that clearance.
It's a beautiful day for rugby. There's a little bit of wind playing down. You can see it in the flag now. In the last 10 minutes or so into the old Belvedere half, so Tommy Whittle and Jesse Leonard probably have to work on it a little bit for the first 40. But a great day for rugby all the same.
If it's not raining, you can't complain.
That rain, the winger's hands will still be cold, I'm sure. They'll be given out.
Good take from Dino Moore. Not going forward, so Daly throws it out to Tom Ryan, the number 8. And Whittle can't kick it out on the full. So he finds Quinn, the danger man, to the Trinity sensation. Robert Russell, he beats one, looking for the offload. And Colbert and Jones, beautiful skip ball. It's wonderful stuff from Trinity. And old Belvedere trying to cause a turnover, but doing it illegally so.
Pointing at Jamie McAleese there and Harry, I'm not quite sure. It seems to me that Harry came through the great, but like kicking to Russell and kicking to Quinn, when they can come back with you like that, you really need to make sure that you're putting in an awkward placement for them. Because they, whether you see there any hint of a hole, they're running straight through it.
This Trinity backline also just looks like fire. Their centre combination as well, doing an impressive job.
They're reading themselves well. They know when to pass to the outside. They know when to go for the skips. Jamie McAleese there, you could see, shot in a little bit there, trying to intercept what he thought was going to be a short pass. Very quickly, the Trinity backline were able to get out the back, so very sharp.
So will it be third time lucky for Trinity? Will they go for a rolling maul? Andrew Cole looking after the game well. Ben Knoll finds Beresford. And Connolly ripping it away. Ben Knoll is at the back. Is it third time lucky? Flings it out to Gavin Jones. They got the free play to Trinity. Looking for the second try of the game. The pick and drive. Really close. Good defense by old Belvedere. It's picked up by Connolly, the tight head prop. Another pick and go. And O'Reilly wants it to Colbert. Gavin Jones. Robert Russell to Quinn, looking for a second. How did he do that? The left winger with a brace.
That's a great finish by Quinn. We've already spoken about how dangerous he looks. He's got great footwork. I probably thought Jack Keating probably just had him there. The pass to Quinn wasn't actually great. The two passes out to him was a little bit slow. Trinity probably could have made it a little bit easier for themselves. But we've been talking about, Belvedere been getting lucky there with the unforced errors from Trinity, but that time Trinity did very well, and as you probably expected, come away with the points again in the corner.
Well, at the moment, Trinity are definitely sending out sirens around the country with their start in the season. Of course, there's still a long way to go in this fixture. But if what we've seen is any indication, it's really good.
Yeah, very promising stuff from the guys. It's tough to know with the season that we have now how teams are gelling together. It's not the same pre-season that you usually have in terms of meeting new players, in terms of being able to gel together. But like what you're seeing from Trinity and the two games they've had previously, it's very impressive. So yeah, I think a lot of clubs around the country will be looking at them now, particularly as we come into the second half of the year.
So Robert Russell. 1 from 2 so far. And that's a beautiful kick from Trinity Sensation. Old Belvedere really under the pump. But they have lots of time to get back into this game. They just can't really leak any more points.
Yeah, I don't think Old Belvedere were panicked at all at this stage. Yes, there's obviously a bit of a scoreline developing, a bit of a gap there. 15 points up now for Trinity, but it's still early days. You know, very much at this level of rugby, anything can happen. As I said, the story famously, we played Trinity in the Leinster League a few years ago. I think we were around 40 points up with around 15 or 20 to go. I think we only won by 2 or 3 in the end. That's what you can kind of expect at this level.
Never take your foot off the pedal. That was a great take by Pim. Gives it to Coleman. And now Sheridan. They're looking ferocious. Colbert with a good ball to Jones and to Byron and Faria and Robert Russell hitting the line at pace. Such a great player. He is devastating. And they're looking for their third try. Colbert to Sheridan. He's really enjoying himself out there. It's another penalty. Colbert looking on the inside. And they're really being relentless at the moment.
We're talking about Russell here, and he's obviously playing some fantastic rugby, but Pim, like from the catch off there, and you can even see it, us looking at the sideline here, what he's demanding out of his own players. He's really up for it, and he is all over the place as well himself, in terms of breakdown, be it defensively, be it with the ball in hand. He's a really, really impressive player. It's a disappointing penalty, in all honesty. I think Pro Bev to give away. I'm sure you, I think it was Evan, I think he was getting in the way of the 9, probably trying to make things a little bit difficult, but as soon as that goes to the referee under that kind of pressure, the referee is always going to give one of those. And you'd expect Russell now at this stage to the kicking he's had in the last couple of efforts to get the 3 points.
Colbert down, so it'll be a concern. Trinity have their main 5 injured as well. So they'll be holding their thumbs. So Rob Russell, point blank range, really should be able to do this in his sleep. And over it goes. So 18 points to Trinity, 0 to Belvedere. And we're starting to approach half time as well.
The clock we probably have on the screen isn't as accurate now because it didn't pause during the water break, so but we also started late. There probably is around 4 or 5 minutes, I think, left and a half. Probably actually spot on now that I think about it. But yeah, 18 points now. We talk about that gap developing. Oh, Belvedere still not panicking, but when you start to get over the 20 points, that's when you need to really start looking at yourselves. Oh, Belvedere would really need to respond with some sort of points on the board.
Robert Russell doesn't find touch, but gets lots of distance, and Leonard leaves it behind. Here's McKeown, the left winger. Hasn't seen much of the ball. And that is an impressive carry by Jack Keating. He has tons of pace. He's chased by Quinn. Not a bad ball, but unfortunately it doesn't find McAleese. And for the first time, perhaps, Old Belvedere looking threatening. What a carry and break by Keating.
Well, I was just going to say, when James McKeown actually picked up that dirty ball in his half, that's, I think, the first time he's managed to get his hands on the ball, and it shows that Belvedere, they've got incredible pace out there between himself and Jack Keating. They haven't utilised him as much as you'd hope, if at all. Jack Keating then, in a position where you wouldn't expect him to be, Jack got that X factor to be able to do that, to pick from the base of a ruck, and to then shoulder off 2 people, shrug them off, I should say, and make 50, 60 yards. It would be disappointed he probably just didn't have the legs to get in. I think a slightly younger Jack Keating would have made it over there. He'd be angry at me for saying that. An adventurous pass as well.
But super cover defence there from Quinn. You can just see how quick he is.
Again, there he is, ball in hand, he's superb, defensively coming back. Brilliant.
The onset there, it looked like it was a good shove by Old Belvedere.
Yeah, I can even hear it from the, obviously we don't have we're not allowed to have the big crowds here today, but you can hear from the bench. I think the Old Belvedere side of the house definitely thought they'd won that one.
Trinity are really taking control at the moment. Bart Vermeulen and Ben Knoll discussing the line-out move. A good turnover there by Old Belvedere. Initially it looked like a little bit of a dummy throw. But it won't matter because Old Belvedere have got it back. Callum Doyle, the 19-year-old, in his first fixture for Old Belvedere. Whittle with the switch ball. And Daly goes on the short side to Leonard. And here's McKeown with a dummy kick. And then the kick and chase. Anything can happen here. And that is a good cover by Rob Russell, saving the day. But Trinity are not out of the woods yet. Perhaps for the first time under pressure, basically on their own 5-metre line. And O'Reilly taking his time, and Old Belvedere up in a flash, and they get the turnover.
That is fantastic from Belvedere. I just need to keep it patient to make sure the penalty doesn't go the other way, but that is unbelievable. Like, Justin Leonard calling the ball out so he can give it to James McKeown. What was really impressive, and I don't know if you saw on the screen there with James McKeown, was he looked like he was going to chip the ball initially, and he actually dummied it, trying to make sure that he could get Russell out of position. Did it, got himself a little bit more space. Made the wise decision when he got down there not to tackle on the ground. I think it was Russell who'd gone in for us, and that just immediately puts Trinity under pressure. I think, again, you might have been able to see it. There was a bit of confusion. Trinity, they didn't realise the ball was actually out of the ruck. The referee called it, and therefore, Belvedere, like a pack of wolves, then just descending down on Lewis O'Reilly, I think, then. But this is now, we're talking about Belvedere having played the points. This is the best opportunity they've had in the game. So whether it be 3 or whether it be 5 or 7, they've got to be able to come away with something here to make it competitive in the second half.
So James Bollard just gathering his troops. And perhaps the message here is they need to get on the scoreboard.
Get on the scoreboard and control it, I think. There's no need to panic, there's a lot of urgency, obviously. You want to be able to take advantage in terms of causing a bit of chaos, and the defensive line is running around the place. But Belvedere just need to be patient on the ball. They need to go through the phases and trust in the process that they have in place. Because if they can just look in enough men, again, we've already talked about with just team, with Jack and James McKeown, that pace that can be used there for finishing tries in the corner.
Horan with the feed to Dino Moore. In the red zone, Joe Horan. Very good pressure from Trinity. And they managed to dismantle them all. And Ryan with the carry. And they're going back in the tackle. Old Belvedere. Really good pressure from Trinity. And Trinity don't want to crack. Here's Callum Doyle. Old Belvedere trying to put down the hammer for their much needed first try of the season. It's taking an edge to come out. Daly to Whittle. On the inside there to Butler. Bollard, the loose head prop, has support from Dino Moore. McNulty at halfback. And McMahon, almost a bit hesitant there. Daly, Whittle. Was that a clever kick and chase? It was McKeown. Superb try by Old Belvedere.
Unfortunately, you've just seen on the screen, I think he's after calling an offside, the referee. There's a lot of protest coming in from the Old Belvedere side saying they didn't think that was it was offside at all. But what an adventurous kick from Tommy Whittle. James McKeown going over there with no advantage. But yeah, a lot of frustration out there. I think obviously you need to trust in the referee's decision now. Belvedere will feel a bit hard done then, I think, in terms of finishing the half a strong way. But going back now, we're talking about Trinity having not really been tested so far until really in the last 15 minutes defensively. I have to say there, despite whether Belvedere would have gone in or out there, very impressive stuff, because they're going hard off the line, but they're not there's no shooters coming around the edges. And the physicality coming from the Trinity pack was really impressive. There's 3 or 4 times there in a row where Belvedere saw Tom Ryan there getting dragged back 15 metres or so. Physically, Trinity really look up for it, and I think, again, as a team that hadn't been really tested to be able to now consistently come out with that in the last few minutes, it's very impressive. But possibly got away with murder there, but let's see. Again, we trust in the referee.
So that's half-time at Ollie Campbell Park. It's Trinity 18, Old Belvedere 0. Trinity scoring 2 tries through the electric left winger in Ronan Quinn. And we'll be back with you shortly.
Just the way we did it the first time.
So back here for the second half. And Trinity are in the driving seat at the moment. 18 points the difference here. And really showing so much danger. And what's allowing them to do that is the impressive forward display.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you can see it, we've seen it in the set piece and the scrums. The lineouts have been tidy enough. Only thing that we saw let Trinity down was a couple of mauls, great opportunities out, unforced errors for for them, but we've just spoken about it before. We took our break there. Defensively, they've been tested, and their forwards are really starting to stand up to it physically as well, making it really difficult for Belvedere to come back into this. So Jack Gilheany is on the pitch, coming on at number 19. Looks like he's replaced David Butler, I think.
That'll be disappointing for David Butler, considering the amount of rugby he has played in the last year and a half. That's a very good clearance there by Trinity. Old Belvedere denied of a try near the end of the first half through a clever kick and gather. Whittle and McKeown in combination. Horan, Dino Moore, and it's sloppy. And Justin Leonard, the kid, has to clean up the rubbish. And he's done a good job there. Daly, Pollard with the carry. Slow ball though. Horan at first receiver, and a penalty, unforced penalty there from Old Belvedere.
I'm looking at the team here, and it seems that Harry McNulty has moved into his old position and back onto the right wing here. Jack Keating has gone into 15, and James McKeown still out in 11. Meaning that Justin Leonard has now gone into 10, with Jack Gilheany at 12 and Jamie McAleese at 13. And Ethan Baxter has returned from his HIA, as we see, which is brilliant news as well for him.
Big relief.
Big relief, yeah. These first games to see, we saw Conor Wendy in the training game, you know. You hate to see these little injuries happen at the beginning of the season, so I'm glad he's okay.
Thomas Connolly saving the day there at line-out time. O'Reilly to Colbert. A decent carry in centre field. O'Reilly with a skip ball. Not his best pass. Picked up by Quinn. Under pressure for the first time. The winger. And Sheridan. It's really been impressive. The newbie O'Reilly on the blind side. To the Luis Faria. Really looking comfortable at the moment. Dublin University practically on the halfway line. Colbert with a nice ball there to Gavin Jones. Pops it to Beresford and Robert Russell. Not sure what to do with it, but it doesn't matter because they've got the penalty and Robert Russell can hit them from this distance as well. It'll be interesting to see what Trinity decide to do here.
Seems like we've another person down here. I think it's Callum Doyle. From the talk I can hear on the sideline. Interestingly, Ronan Quinn and Ethan Green I've just seen as well have swapped wings. Interested to see if there's any reason behind that. Seriously match for pace. Ronan obviously, as we can see, is lightning quick, but it's not like he's any particular speed advantage against James McKeown or Jack Keating. David Butler now going back onto the pitch.
And McNulty is coming off.
Ray Monaghan seems to be rotating quite a lot, his team experimenting. David Butler has gone back into 12, I think. And Jack Gilheany seems to have dropped out into the back 3 to 15, and Jack Keating is back onto the right wing now. So Colin Doyle is coming off. What seems to be a bloody nose being replaced by Mick Stapleton. One of the people's favourite players, I have to say, down in Belvedere. Very young Mick Stapleton. Seriously tough guy. Really committed to the team as well. He's a great person to be able to bring on. You can expect some big hits and chop tackles from him now in this half.
And that's the start right now. Because they're in their 22. Ben Knoll with the throw. Good take by Beresford. And illegally dismantled. So Trinity have the free play. Byron with the carry. O'Reilly decides not to take it quick. Perhaps another line out and rolling more.
Yeah, I think Trinity are probably starting to recognise they have the advantage, as we've spoken about, physically at the moment between mauls and scrums kind of mainly throughout. They're probably, instead of going for the tip and goes, they'll try and use the maul again. We've had quite a good bit of success with it so far in the game.
Connor Wendy doing a neutral job there.
Sure.
Ben Knoll finds Pim. And Coleman has it at the back, and he's popped it now to Benjamin Knoll, who really wants his first try in Trinity colours. And that is brilliant work by Trinity. Relentless. They just don't stop. And the number 8, Byron, scores.
Yeah, it seems like you thought Belvedere done just enough pushing them. What looked like they were going to touch definitely into the corner. Problem is, Belvedere, when the maul would have collapsed, committed just too many people, meaning that it was easier for Trinity to do the pick and go. There was very few people there now. They were facing up in terms of the pillar A position defensively. But again, we've been talking about it. It's the physicality of the Trinity pack that they're confident at the moment. The backline is obviously doing great as well, but when it comes to being in danger zones against Belvedere, I think they'll happily kick for corners and keep it with the forwards where they can.
And even though they have played, well, this is their third game, they really do look organised. That more from Coleman to Ben Knoll. So Robert Russell to make it 4 out of 5 this afternoon. Drags that one, but at the moment it doesn't really matter for Trinity. Really in control here at Ollie Campbell Park in Dawes Bridge.
We're at a stage now, we've been talking about that scoreline for the last 20 minutes. Just, Belvedere not panicking, but when you see 23 points behind, again, there's a lot of time to play, but Belvedere are going to have to start taking a couple of risks at this stage, trying to get an advantage. Good kick by Justy.
And you kick it to Robert Russell, who always finds so much distance. Former Ireland under 20s and Leinster under 19s and 20s. Also won under 26 Nations Grand Slam in 2019 and been at the Junior World Cup. So that is quite the CV.
It's not a bad CV for a young lad.
Joe Horan, mix up at line-out time. Old Belvedere lucky to get that one back. Justin Lennon at fly-off. Butler with the headband. He'll be happy to be back on the park. And Bollard. Can Old Belvedere build something? Jack Keating looking fired up, but he's driven back in the tackle. Daly. And he's knocked that ball out on the full. That'll be frustrating.
That'll be disappointing for Belvedere. Just when you're starting to see them get a bit of a run, Dave Butler seems to have picked up a bit of a dead leg there. To be fair to David Butler, he hasn't had a lot of space in front of him now throughout the day, but he's making yards, and that's helping relieve, I suppose, Belvedere when they're trying to organise outside. What they're probably a bit guilty of here is the forwards coming around for those reds around the rucks. They're just taking them that little bit too flat. It's a little bit too easy for the Trinity defence to just absorb the tackles. That's a good hit from David Butler, though. Or Jamie McAleese.
Great hit on his opposite number there. Faria Sheridan. Really been impressed with the newbie. But this time it's a penalty. A much needed one for Old Belvedere.
just get that up into the Trinity half now. That's what the forwards will be saying. Let us do our job there. Just to be putting this on his left peg. A little bit of wind with them now in the second half. The wind has kind of dropped off from what the advantage Trinity had, but it's still slightly going down that direction.
So Leonard finds good distance there. It's a good opportunity now for old Belvedere to get some points on the board. And it might just boost their confidence if they can get over the chalk.
Yeah, absolutely. They won't be settling for 3 points here in no capacity, be it kicking to corners or trying to play here now in terms of getting penalties and such. They're going to need to try and come away with 5 or 7 points here to keep the game competitive.
Also a tough fixture next for old Belvedere. They've got UCD and then Dublin University have Nace at home.
Yeah, UCD, I forget now who they're playing today. UCD will want to...
He's playing Old Wesley today.
That's it, they'll be looking to bounce back from their loss to Trinity last week. Not easy to go to Old Wesley, our local Donnybrook rivals. Interesting what the scoreline is there.
All the games currently being live streamed at the same time. Leonard, well, that is interesting. It's unconventional. Jack Keating, it could work out though. And a good recovery from a dicey kick there from the kid.
Yeah, dicey to say the least. Jack does well, I think there. Plenty of space from outside. I didn't actually expect her to be that bunched up. Russ will be relieved, I think, that the ball bumped out to touch because Jack was right in his heels. But Belvedere still here. Trinity ball, but
Ben Knoll under pressure. Gets the line out right there to Beresford. And they've got a penalty as well. O'Reilly, and this is what he likes to do. Very dangerous. He's a big halfback as well. And Jody Booth is on the field.
that was a cheap penalty, I think, to start in the Trinity 22. They're always gonna go tip and go there. That's where they love the advantage of it. When you're not expecting them to come back like that. Tom Ryan's been paying for a penalty afterwards. I assume it was for not being back 10, exactly the strategy that Trinity would be looking for. As an ex-Trinity man, he knows all about that style. He probably thought he was doing the right thing for the experience in terms of just slowing them down. But Belvedere would be very disappointed for giving away a cheap penalty there.
Harry Colbert, a freshman. Quite unusual to see a freshman first season in the Trinity first side at fly-off, but settling in really well.
Belvedere again, there's these small mistakes that Trinity are handing to Belvedere. You're hoping they'll take advantage of it now. See how the scrum shapes up in the second half. We saw that domination for around 20 minutes or so from the scrum by Trinity. Belvedere haven't changed the front row. They've been performing a little bit better. They'll be hoping now to get a settled scrum. They just really need to give the ball to that back line a little bit more. I think we're seeing very little touches from the back three, especially even out to Jamie McAleese. They'll be hungry.
Daly, Leonard, and McAleese. Belvedere with free play now. Dean Moore, the old man, 34 years of age. And Robert Russell will come back for the penalty. But amazing to think that Dean Moore is 15 years older than his lock partner, Callum Doyle.
I think now, just having you brought a couple of those facts to light, I think you better leave the car park fairly quickly afterwards. Dean Moore, yeah, listen, what an experienced guy. I myself have been down here 10 years. Dean Moore was a part of that All-Ireland winning team in 2011. Went to France to play professionally for a couple of years before going to be a captain of Garryowen and then coming back home to Belvedere. He's an incredible guy to have within the team, purely from experience. He's a great guy even for the leadership group. You can bounce ideas off him all the time. He's
The master and the apprentice.
Absolutely, yeah. But you see, we've Belvedere in the last 2 years in particular, very young team compared to what we've had in the years, and you need that kind of experience where Dean Moore can talk to players, and a lot of the younger players will look up to him in terms of standards and what he sets for himself. And not in bad shape for a man of his vintage.
And also to add to that experience, Adam Howard is on the field, over 100 games for the club.
Yeah, so would pop the head. Howard, he's, you talk a guy got over 100 caps for the club, couldn't up around 115, 120 at the age of 28. Remarkable.
So here's a chance, Stapleton, that time with the take. And Trinity with a good counter maul. Is it still alive for Old Belvedere? It is. Horan flirting with the touchline. And is it now or never really for Old Belvedere? A chance to get back into the game. They've got the penalty. And Tom Ryan against his old club. He really wants to try. Hold up just short. The number 8. Old Belvedere in much need of a try. Opening try of the season. They've got the free play. Daly, Justin Leonard, Butler, and Faria. Great tackle there by him and Gavin Jones. They don't want to give a try away to Trinity. And McAleese, disappointing again.
Bring it back for the penalty, I think. I think Old Belvedere just need to take advantage of that situation a little bit more. Like, there's a penalty advantage, you're 23 points down, nothing to lose. When you have the free play, go for the adventures, don't go for the expected. They're probably just trying to settle themselves a little bit more, but at this stage now, you're better off going for it, I think, especially with that Trinity pack, how strong they are around the ruck. We've got Petey O'Byrne returning to the black and white jersey, player of the year for Old Belvedere 2 years ago, I think. Superstar, he was over in France last year, Erasmus, St. Michael's boy, over for his very young age, he's got plenty of experience. He comes on for Conrad Daly, who I have to say I was very impressed with again. Conrad, he was away as well himself last year, he wasn't within the team, has limited experience until now, but I think he controlled the ball quite well today. Petey O'Byrne will be looking to make an impact coming back into the jersey for first season.
Dean Moore. The simple trick at line-out time. Will it pay off? Trinity displaying. They've got a very good counter maul. And they've got the turnover as well. Is there something special about this forward pack? Perhaps a little bit early to say so.
But they're aggressive and they're ruthless, and you see it. There's some smart play going in as well. I think it was Nell, a bit of cheekiness. The maul collapses and he is not being moved out of the way. He's intentionally getting in the wrong positions, clapping himself into it, but he knows the referee's going to give it one way if he makes it life difficult. Yeah,
he's a bit upset from the try he coughed up earlier.
Yeah,
so making up for it.
Yeah, where he can. But yeah, I think we've been talking about it a lot. They're impressive, they're aggressive, they're ruthless. But again, they've had the 2 games, I suppose, competitively as well to prepare for this World. Belvedere need to get those shoulders warm, need to get into the motions of things and find that competitive edge again themselves.
Replacement at scrum half as well for Trinity. O'Sheen Mangan, the little halfback. Sloppy play there from Trinity. Perhaps the first time in the game that they've been a little bit complacent, and Old Belvedere have another opportunity now to get on the score sheet.
I think like Tony Speed is somebody who demands very high standards, and regardless of the fact that 23 points up now, he won't be happy that his team are doing that. He'll be certain they'll be given out to for a couple of those errors. There's a couple of them happening around the park, and if they want to be able to compete with the top teams in Ireland and get the top half of the table now when we go back after Christmas, they're going to have to shake out of some of those mistakes, which I'm sure they will as the season goes on.
O'Byrne. It's a good shot from Old Belvedere. Tom Ryan is controlling it at the back, and it's a penalty try for Old Belvedere, a much needed score.
Wow. Adam Howard coming on, like, excuse me, we've spoken about the experience of almost 120 games. What about that? You know, where Trinity have been the dominant team in terms of scrum for the majority of this game. We've been talking about the danger of their pack. Out of nowhere, Belvedere tried with that scrum, and that'd be a huge result. At 7 points on the board for them.
Colbert and Jack Keating. He'll have a go. The speedy right winger was the top try scorer across the whole All-Ireland League 2 years ago. It's a good kick, but hasn't found touch. Colbert looking control to Robert Russell, licking his lips perhaps, beats one, and then McNulty needs to make a tackle, and it was a good one, a crucial one as well. Good carry by Coleman, Colbert, Faria to Gavin Jones, and Ethan Green, he's a big boy. Original position actually centre, and Sheridan almost breaking the line. Good pop pass, Colbert, Faria, McAleese was up quickly, and look how he pirouettes out of the tackle, the outside centre. Colbert and Nicholson now, the replacement hooker. Trinity looking for a bonus point try. Mangan to Faria. Good delivery by Mangan once more. And really looking collected at the moment. It's Sheridan. So many carries for the big man. And Jody Booth. Coleman. Powerful open side flanker. Old Belvedere trying to get the turnover. And yes, Bart Vermeulen. Was that high? It was. So another free play. Really, really good phase player. Gavin Jones with a wonderful skip ball to Faria. And here's Quinn looking for a hat-trick. He dances all over the show. Good defense by Old Belvedere. Hanging on by a thread at the moment. Good pop pass from Nicholson to Coleman to Sheridan on debut. And he scores. It's a 4th point bonus try for Trinity.
It's a lovely try by Trinity. But being totally honest, you know, Belvedere probably making them look good. Ever since that try, defensively, very disorganised. You can see it. I can hear shouting coming off the sideline between coaching staff and even some of the subs. People looking into the ruck, people getting bunched up. Trinity have all the space outside. When they're on their halfway line, they're able to make that break in, and then after that, you know, there's a penalty advantage for a high tackle, giving them that kind of free play in there with the tired old Belvedere. They were made probably look better than they actually were, but a really nice try for Trinity, a bonus point try.
You'll get a big pat on the back for Sheridan, the freshman.
Yeah.
Debut game.
They'd be delighted.
I try to remember.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Robert Russell with his easiest kick of the afternoon. It's another water break. And Trinity really looking like a well-oiled machine at the moment. What a response as well from that penalty try.
Yeah, you're thinking there, you know, Belvedere get the penalty try for the scrum. You can see the heads start lifting up, the energy. You can see people are excited again. It was a great impact from a couple of the guys coming off the bench. We already talked about Adam Howard. Trinity pump it down here, and Belvedere don't really recover. I think Trinity be really happy. I think Tony Smith be really happy how defensively they turned it back on to steal that ball back. And then, Belvedere seemed to have the wind kind of knocked out of the sails. Then when they went onto the defensive stance, as I said, they were looking into the ruck. They started to get a little disorganised. Again, match fitness, a lot of that comes down to. You know, you're in the second half. you're out there. It's it's a bit of a warm day. A little bit of a breeze. Bodies are that little bit more tired, and that leads to disorganisation. But again, Raymond has the opportunity because these water breaks, which is great. Is supposed to regroup James Goddard as well with his team. Talk to them. It seems like Belvedere, I think, has a player down as well.
And that's always the concern when there's been no rugby for about 6 or 7 months, is that preparation for contact, which is so crucial, because Trinity have also lost a few players. Their captain and a few wingers as well, a fly-off.
Yeah, I've been there myself. Like you go back and you're so excited to get back into it. You're excited to get back into the contact and the full competitive nature of playing another team, getting out and bruising each other. But unfortunately, the head hasn't been used to tackling in the right places. You get a few too many knees to the heads, and you find yourself in sideline for a couple of weeks. I think unfortunately it's David Butler. I think who's being treated in the old Belvedere 22. I think the ref's gonna hold off until he's seen to by the club doctor who's now on the field.
He must be really dizzy at the moment, missing rugby for 18 months. Gets sent off against Highfield. He's already been off the field today. He's back on and perhaps going off again.
It's only a roller coaster, a couple of months for him. He's a Georgie best in and out of the game, but he'll be delighted to come back. I hope he's okay out there right now. He had awful trouble with his knee last year. He's managed to kind of get himself back on track. He's in great condition. And he's really eager. He's a guy who joined us a couple of years ago. He would have been in the Connacht Academy set up years back. Would have left school, I think, around 10 years ago. Was looking to be a really promising player and played well with the likes of Collegians and stuff. And he's really bought into Old Belvedere in the last couple of years, and he's done a really good job at now being able to, I suppose, be seen as one of the leaders in the group as well. He's standing anyway, and you know you can't see him in camera shot. He is walking off the pitch unassisted. Looks like he seems to be holding something to his nose. That'll be an excuse for the plastic surgery anyway. But I think he's okay. Seems to be a bad bloody nose, but I'm sure he's had worse.
I think old Belvedere will be relieved it's on a knee, or a leg, or an arm. So Justin Lennon.
So that means Harry McNulty has come back on. He goes back into the back three. And Jack Elheny goes into the centre from 15, the partner with Jamie McAleese.
Jody Booth with the carry up towards the 22. Colbert, it's actually Fitzgibbon who's on the field now for Trinity, getting some game time. Fitzgibbon with the ball there to Faria. Also had a very good game, and busting on the line there is Coleman. And a penalty to old Belvedere.
That is where Ethan Baxter is so dangerous. Like we spoke about him earlier on. He was under 20s captain last year. He's started to really step up into the senior fold now in old Belvedere, but low centre of gravity. He's very strong for his size. He's a machine with a great mentality. He loves getting in there and clamping over those balls, and he's very difficult to move if you give him the opportunity to do it.
If old Belvedere can get over the line, the score starts to look a lot more respectable, and you never know, they could get another try and kind of back in it.
Yeah, I think they'll be hopeful for that. I think, again, Tony Smeed, as we said, demands high standards. He won't expect or want his team to start dropping off in the pace, and we haven't seen that yet. He'll be hoping for the score to stay in a similar territory, but old Belvedere now will be looking to clamber back some points to make it more respectable, as you said.
Ethan Baxter, also a line-out option. Tom Ryan at the back. O'Byrne to Leonard. Good ball there to McKeown. And Byrne once more with the show and go. Trying to catch Trinity napping there. Joe Horan. Sheridan doing good work on defence there for Trinity. Dean Moore. Another pick and go. O'Byrne to Tom Ryan. McBurn trying to work the blind side. Leonard, good ball, brilliant. McAleese, the juice is in for the try.
That's super hands from Belvedere. I was actually kind of questioning out here because McNulty and James McKeown on the right wing, not calling for the ball but trying to pull bodies out because they're a little bit too bunched up. Wasn't really expecting anything there, to be totally honest. I don't even think Trinity were, but some really silky hands to get out to Jamie. Great to see him get on the scoreboard. So again, looking at the clock, trying to make a bit of a judgment myself, I'd say we've a little bit more than the 10 minutes that's on the screen. It's probably around closer to 15 minutes. That put the score right now with the conversion to come at 30 points to 12. Well, Belvedere will be happy, I suppose, if they can keep this momentum, keep going to the scoreboard. The game's probably a little bit too far of a push for them, but they will push, I suppose, to get maybe that losing bonus point. And the captain, James Ballard, is coming off. Ryan McMahon returns to the field, which means the captain duties, I think, will assumedly go to Dean Moore.
Splendid kick there by Justin Leonard. So it's 30 points to 14. Old Belvedere will be thrilled with that try. Their first try was a penalty try. So McNulty having a crack. The Irish Sevens international. Good carry. Leonard whips it away. And that's a tremendous carry there. And it's been turned. Trinity went to sleep against UCD late in the second half, and they'll be keen not to do that again. Yes, Byron, the try scorer. Trinity looking for a fifth try.
Great tackle by Stapleton.
And they've scored plenty of points in their 3 games. Good carry by Finley. Jody Booth getting involved. The loose forward. Great pass by Mangan and Faria now. It's really been everywhere. Byron trying to put the big don't argue on Adam Howard. It's not an easy thing to do. Sheridan with a dummy. His first mistake perhaps of the game.
That's great from Old Belvedere. I was looking at that, the momentum that Trinity were taking, probably concerned that there was maybe a penalty advantage or something going to come, which would take the wind out of Old Belvedere, but that's a really good result for them to do that. Time off here. I think the last scrum we probably saw was the penalty try, so Ryan McMahon back on, James Ballard off, Adam Howard started really well when he came off the bench, so let's see now. Belvedere be hopeful to get a steady push. Killian O'Neill on at hooker as well. There's another really experienced player, Justin, who's been in Belvedere for 10 years now. Loves the back row and his hooker. He's a great player around the park in general to have.
Old Belvedere get the penalty. Tom Ryan with the tap and go. Looking for an opportunity. What an offload that is. Superb stuff. Jack Keating. Does he have support? Another good line break by the right winger, O'Byrne. The dismal pass there, but it's picked up by Howard and smashed in the tackle there. Stapleton by Faria. But Old Belvedere have the penalty.
That's Adam Howard's Samba Soccer at under 9s coming back to him with that great checkers to take the ball down from the poor pass.
And a yellow card to Jody Booth, the replacement player.
What an offload from Ethan Baxter. Again, we're talking about dangerous in terms of defence and stuff, but the kid's got that X factor as well when he needs to turn it on. Brilliant offload. I think in fairness to the Trinity back 3 there, they did really well. They made the decision really hard for Jack Keating. He was going into a one-on-one with Russell, but I think it wasn't Quinn. I think it was Green got back just to close down the space, and Russell trusted the Green would get there, meaning that his options were quite limited.
very promising as well to see a tap and go inside Old Belvedere's 22.
Yeah, I think that was Tom Ryan again, trying to bring that Trinity mindset coming back. That natural for him. I'm not sure it's 10. I think Justy Leonard might have wanted to gone for the kick. Bit of confusion for Trinity here with the scrum.
As long as they don't get as confused as Johnny May got when he joined the scrum.
That's true, I've been there myself a few times. Ashamedly.
Mangan, his delivery has been good since he's been on the park, and this is beautiful stuff. Splendid Quinn.
Oh.
And what a tackle that was by Old Belvedere. Great scramble defence. McNulty.
That's Ethan Baxter with that tackle again. Making it all the way back there. Wow, what a tackle shot. And Quinn, not an easy guy we've spoken about to tackle. Beautifully though, drags the foot into touch. But Russell there coming around the bend there. Jack Delheny just gets caught out, doesn't see the pace that Russell's taken onto it. He's been a little bit quieter in the second half, and he's a seriously impressive player for Trinity.
Joe Horan. Solid line out. Leonard. The dab over the top. And Sheridan. He's really loving it out there. What an offload that is to Luis Faria. Sheridan has tons of skills. Coleman. Up the back it goes. And it's a try for David Fitzgibbon. Scintillating there from Trinity.
That's a sexy try for Trinity. Justin Leonard, like we've spoken about having to take risks at this stage, and obviously Trinity's gotten the points there now. It's kind of blown up for Old Belvedere, but you can understand why he's kind of going for the outrageous at this stage of the game. But Trinity, the way they take control there, some of the passes, Faria, as you said, controlling it well, lovely step to hold up Jack Keeling, and then the offloads into the corner. That's the Trinity rugby that you've seen over the years when they're at their best. So I think Tony Smith will be very happy.
We've seen plenty of tries today, 7 in total. And Robert Russell now has had a few difficult kicks in this game. And let's also not forget from an Old Belvedere perspective, they are playing against a Division 1A side as well. Great kick there from Rob Russell, the point scoring machine. Over 50 points in 3 games. The season's barely just started.
3 games, wow, very impressive. I think Old Belvedere now will be looking just to finish the game out in a positive note, try and get on the scoreboard again. That's a fantastic take. My God, what strength.
Beresford.
Wow.
He was at Life University for 3 or 4 years in the States. The Scotsman from Stonehaven.
That was something the Beast would have done for South Africa. I think remarkable strength to support his player there. I think I just see him patting him on the arse there to thank him for saving him from the fall.
So Old Belvedere, do they have something left in the tank? Tom Ryan controlling it at the back. Solid defence from Trinity. O'Byrne, Leonard with the dab ahead from McNulty.
That's unfortunate. Kid O'Neill just sliding in for the recovery ball. Ronan Quinn gets a bit lucky, I think, there. He's making a bit of a face about it. He uses the footwork to try and stop the ball going into Harry McNulty. He actually kicks it into Kid O'Neill's path, who was unlucky with the slide just for the ball to bounce out or knock on. Steady scrum from Old Belvedere, though. compared to the first half, huge improvement there.
So not long left now. It'll be interesting to see what the mindset is of Trinity deep inside their own half. Will they have a go? Byron to Mangan. Faria lets it go. It's an opportunity here for old Belvedere to finish on a high and take something home to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few calls from the old Belvedere sideline for the team for an offside. You can probably hear it being shouted in the background there, possibly from Trinity, but they'll take the scrum. It's a great position. I think what we'll probably need to see here now, you've seen it in the last one, a little bit slow, because real steady scrum from old Belvedere, a bit slow in terms of Tom Ryan being able to take the ball out. Means that Trinity are a little bit more prepared than they probably should be for Nate picking up the back in the middle of the park. Be interesting now, does P.D. O'Byrne chuck it straight out to his backs, or will he leave it with the forwards again for a couple of phases? Killian O'Neill has moved into the back row, if you can see there as well.
Versatile hooker. Solid scrum, but it starts to turn, and now it's a mess. A lot of drama going on. Leonard back on the inside to Horan. And Byrne works the short side. Killian O'Neill.
Steal for Trinity, I think.
It is indeed. Faria. And there could be trouble here. And Green hasn't had the ball as much as Quinn.
I think we've got a line out for Belvedere, I think.
And that scrum is looking so good.
Yeah. Belvedere are frustrated with themselves now at this stage. Like there's no arguing or anything going on, but you can see there's a few shakes of the head. The forwards are frustrated probably from they're probably not doing enough, not giving the backs enough of a position to take advantage of points. But to be fair to Trinity, they're making it very hard for them. Like at every single ruck, it's a contest. You know, they're not letting them have the ball. They're not leaving the rucks. There's usually a Trinity man in every single ruck competing for ball, which is slowing things down, making things difficult for P.D. O'Byrne to give to those who are calling for it.
But one can be sure that Old Belvedere will be a lot better next week, and they have to be against UCD.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, they will have to be. You spoke briefly there, Justin. You mentioned Trinity being a 1A team. I think Old Belvedere and any teams that are the 1B from Leinster won't see it as that. I think they see this as a really great opportunity to go back and play those teams again. They'll need to switch it on, but I think they will. I think even when we consider now where we are in the game, the performances from individuals as well and as a unit, they're definitely improving from the first minute. Albeit that's an easy scrum, I think, for Trinity. Sort of sums up the day, I think, for Old Belvedere.
Trinity with their replacement props on the field as well. Ben Griffin, number 18, is an absolute tank engine. And also, just touching on it, it's a blessing, you know, that we're able to have these games.
Oh yeah.
A few months ago, it wasn't seeming possible. So a shout out to everyone who's been involved across Ireland in making this possible.
I think clubs all around the country, it doesn't matter if it's rugby, if it's football, GAA, or whatever it is that people play. You know, everyone's been hurting from the lack of ability to actually play in sports and compete in sports. Even training with teams is great to be able to do that, but to be able to be given the opportunity to actually compete against other clubs again, albeit without the supporters, which is very difficult. But the guys as players are very excited and very enthusiastic to get back.
And also, it's important for structure as well. Just bringing something to the week for these players.
Totally.
Something to keep you from going out on a Friday night
And I don't
for
know,
a serious game of football.
I don't know but
Mangan with the feed. It's a good scrum from Trinity. And they're going to have a go again. Why not? Gavin Jones.
wow.
A beautiful pass to Quinn, who's really in search of a hat-trick here. And he dances all over the show. And that is great hands from Byron. Trinity just want more and more. 5 tries on the clock at the moment. And they want try number 6. Fitzgibbon. Mangan works the short side. And they're making meters at will here at the moment. Take a big effort from Old Belvedere. And that is a massive collision. He won't run down that avenue again. But here's Byron, the number 8, who's having a stormer. Tremendous carry, and that's a great penalty for Old Belvedere. It looked very threatening. McNulty with a tap and go. Jack Keating seems to be enjoying his ruck time. Ethan Baxter, a little bit too much oats on that one. And that is it. Trinity 37, Old Belvedere 14. We saw 7 great tries. And Simon, Old Belvedere, they've got UCD next week. Dublin University have Nice at home. And it's really going to be interesting to see how these teams play out next week.
yeah, I think Trinity are going to be really happy with that. Like, you can see the amount of tries that have gone in their individual performances and as a team performance. It was very impressive for them. It's not far off the pace probably where they were last year before we finished up from lockdown, in terms of the way that they were playing rugby, some of the finishing. They'll want to get rid of some of the simple mistakes where they probably made things a little bit easy for Old Belvedere, but I'd expect them to have a really strong team out with a strong performance against Nice next week. Old Belvedere, listen, we've spoken about it. It's the first game back. This is Trinity's third, so it was always going to be difficult for them. It's their first game as a whole new team. They've come together. A lot of young guys have come back from travels. A lot of old guys have just joined up with the team. It's their first competitive run out. I don't think Ray Monaghan's going to be worried after that. There's going to be a lot of things that he's going to want to sort out. A lot of things that the players are going to want to sort out. But getting that first hit out for the first time in 7 or 8 months now, they'll be. I think they'll still be happy enough now going into play next week against UCD, but will obviously be a lot more demanding of their performances.
Thanks for joining us. Final score, Trinity 37, Old Belvedere 14.